Grace and peace to y'all. This is Christ Block here. And I just want to talk about something a bit more reassuring, like Martin Zender talked about today. I'd like to talk about Romans 8:18. And that is that Paul says that our joy is nothing, or our suffering rather, is nothing compared to the glory that is awaiting us. So, that being said, let's hop right into this, man. So, that kind of gets me thinking. Contrary to Martin Zender, no disrespect to him. He's a bro. I love him. We all care about him. I care about him. So yeah, no disrespect to Martin Zender. But I do think that God lets us think or have movies in our heads about what may the glory be, or in one of your videos, the compensation would be. Needless to say, basically, our rewards, our glory, everything concerning us comes in a big package. And not only that, but I think that this big package right here that God's giving us really is something that these mortal bodies can't handle, which is why our bodies have to be changed. I think, you know how, like, sometimes you'd be so excited you thought I was going to quote that song, didn't you? You would be so excited that you just can't contain yourself. You know how you get so excited or happy that you just can't hold it? You can't hold it down? Imagine that, but on supernatural steroids. Okay, don't imagine that, because that'll probably do some stuff that I don't want to be responsible for. And that's a joke. But anyways. So, anyways, here's the thing. I think that we all suffer individually, which is true, and we all suffer as a whole. There is an individual suffering, and then there's individual individual suffering and collective suffering. Suffering, yeah. Both individually and collectively. But the glory and the compensation and everything that God's going to have waited for us and gifted to us dwarfs that of the suffering. And guess what? The compensation and the compensation and the glory is also singular and as a group whole. So yeah, we will have individual glory, compensation, expectation that we have set on God, and we will have collective. We'll have a collective and individual. Sorry about all that. That was just my dad coming through, so yeah. Here we continue. So, not only will our joy be collective, but it'll also be exclusive to us. I believe that one person's daydream about what it's like is different than another person's daydream about what it may be like. That being said, I would propose that both the person having this one thought of what it's like and the person having another thought of what it's like I propose that they both are right, and to a certain extent, and in a certain right, in a certain way. So, the reason why I say this is because I don't think that our compensation. I think there's a difference between compensation, glory, and the rest of what has to be awaited for us. I think the compensation is also very important. Sorry, my dad came in and he said needed to do the dishes, so I didn't want to disturb him and him disturb me, and vice versa, vice versa. So, what I said before I cut to the next clip was that I think the compensation is important. Well, I think that the glory is important. Every single aspect of this is important. And yeah, so I think that the differences are the compensation. I'll get to last. So the glory is part of the compensation. But the glory is like if you think about it, the members in the body of Christ are underdogs. We are the unrecognized. We get kicked to the curb, figuratively and possibly quite literally, because we have a different belief than the traditional belief, which is the church orthodoxy, which is the slave mentality in a bad light. Slave mentality not being like, ooh, I want to stay because you treated me so well. It's more like, ooh, I want to leave because you treated me so shittily. So, that is their mentality, while we have the thing is, I want to toil for God. I want to work for God because He is such a good person. Or in this case, He's not a person, He's God. But, my whole thing is this. Lost track a bit, but I'll continue to keep going with a good message. Because I'm pretty sure y'all know exactly what this whole message is going to boil down to. But if you don't, I'll just keep it chalking up and keep it pushing right now. So, here's the thing. The glory, I think we are going to have let me try to think. I don't know what the glory is, okay? That's the thing. God's not one to give spoilers, but I can imagine I can't imagine the glory part. But here's what I can imagine. Here's what I can imagine. So Martin Zender said that there would be worlds, different places to enjoy. I think that I think, well, at least for me individually, this will be way different than like all of us as a collective reward, or all of us as collective glory. For individual glory and individual reward, each to their own. God is not really gonna give everybody the same thing individually. Collectively, yes. Individually, no. So, let me tell you exactly what I think mine might be. Just as a spoiler. I think that, and what I'm about to say is going to go into the next video. And I am going to actually tie this in with the next video. I'm actually really going to tie this in with the next video, because this was going to come up in that video. So I'll just spill the beans now, spill the beans again in that video. I think that for my compensation, let's just say compensation for now to make things simpler. For my compensation, I believe I'm gonna get I'm gonna get not only a world but a multiverse. I believe that God implants desires in people that, or at least desires in the members of the body of Christ, that don't necessarily have to do with Earth, right here. That don't have to do anything, or mostly not have to do with Earth. Like most of my desires are not earthly. They are not based here, where we are now. Most of my desires aren't based on that. Because I know that this is not an ideal world. So, we live in a world. No, but seriously, we live in a world that is not ideal. So, I remember Martin Thunder making a video called Vanity World, or he mentioned something called Vanity World. And this world's not ideal for anybody, really. But here's the thing. Even if you're not a member of the body of Christ, this world will become ideal for people who aren't a member of the body of Christ. People who inherit the earth will have an ideal earth, an ideal world. Right now, it's not so much. But for the members of the body of Christ, I think we exceed that. Hence, one of the reasons why I think I'm going to get a multiverse as my part of the compensation. Now, keep in mind, this is individual, not collective. I think that there are many different rewards for everybody that are individual. But as a collective reward, I think it all has to tie into something. It all ties into something. It does tie into something. I'm very sure, for a collective glory, a collective compensation, a collective reward, if you mind you. I'll make the next part of the video somewhere starting in the night tonight, or somewhere starting later today, because I really don't want to keep y'all hanging, and I really just have to make this video because I planned this before. So, grace and peace to y'all. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched to the end, thank you even more for having this much patience with me. So, yeah, I'll make the next video and talk to you more about this whole thing. Grace and peace to y'all.